Hey Narwhals, and welcome back to some more weight loss stories. Only a small percentage of our viewers actually subscribe. It's free and you can always change your mind later, so please tap subscribe to join the original 200k Narwhals. The only mindset that made me lose weight. Hi, I'm inspired by this entire community and wanted to share my own advice on what worked for me when I had to lose weight that still works whenever I need it again. Now with pandemic kilos, for example. This is my personal opinion and my own experience, but I write this because I truly think that it works wonders. I used to watch videos on YouTube and have apps and so on that had me inspired for a day or two. Guys with six packs on YouTube who said stuff like, you have to aim for working out 5 times a week, no excuses, or things like that. It didn't keep me motivated, nor did it provide a realistic way of achieving my goals. After a while of almost giving up and feeling bad about myself every time I didn't succeed, I started thinking like this. All you have to do is go to the gym, or whatever place it is you do your workouts, then you can go home. What happened is I went more often, and once I was at the gym, I always wanted to at least walk on the treadmill for a little bit, and sometimes even do a whole workout. I removed pressure and promised myself that if I went there and didn't want to work out at all, I could just go home. But that never happened, and if it would have been okay. But this is a psychological trick that literally changed everything for me. Small baby steps is key. Working out for 15 minutes 3 times a week was big progress, and it will feel so much better, like you achieved something, even if it wasn't a whole workout. You went, you did something, and you are making progress. The second biggest thing about this is that it creates routine, which is absolutely key to successful weight loss. For many of us, I think the gym, or where you work out, can be an anxious place. Going there more often will familiarize it, make it easier to just go there without much thought. It will also set your body up for regular exercise, rather than having these working out all the time for a month and then not at all for 11 months kind of thing that I experienced a lot before this. I used to not be able to run for 5 minutes. Now I run for 60 minutes and feel good. And most importantly, it has stayed sort of that way for 4 years. Only because whenever I'm not top game, which is 95% of the time, I think those words in my head and I go and make a little progress. And during the pandemic, I realized the gym might not be the place to be, but this technique can be applied at home too, just not as effectively. And tell yourself, I will just put on my gym clothes, lay out the yoga mat, and get on it, and then we'll see. It's not a technique I think works as good as you're still at home, maybe near TV/bed, etc., but it just might do the trick. This is seriously the way. I bought a rower a little over a year ago, but I never consistently worked out on it. It was always hardcore for a month or so with 3 1-hour-long workouts a week and then nothing for months on end. Since 2 months ago, I switched my mindset to just get on there. You don't even need to row, just go sit on the rower. In the beginning, it was literally just me sitting on the rower and pulling the handle for a bit, but it has evolved into me consistently working out on it. I also don't put hard limits on my workouts anymore, like now I will row for at least 20 minutes. I just get on it and stop whenever I feel like I have enough. It reduced all pressure from me and allowed me to figure out a workout routine that works. Atomic Habits by James Clear is a pretty good book on how to build and maintain habits, and he talks about this a lot. It's not his idea originally. If your goal is to, for example, do an hour of running every day or play the piano for an hour a day, then it can be intimidating, and you'll find that you avoid doing it when you aren't in the mood, since 1 hour is such a big commitment. So instead, set a goal that is only run for 5 minutes a day, or sit down and play the piano for 2 minutes, and make sure you hit it every single day, other than deliberately plan rest days. Since the goal is so small, it's easy to achieve regardless of how lazy that you're feeling. And of course, once you actually get started on the run or sit down on the piano, it's incredibly likely that you'll end up just going for a lot longer than 5 minutes, since most of the challenge is just motivating yourself to get out there in the first place. Would recommend the book in general since there's a lot of other good advice in there, but that's just one of the tips that really stuck with me. This is such good advice, and I wish I had heard it so much earlier. I remember that I always had trouble starting to work out or do anything new because I would get obsessed with trying to figure out how I was supposed to do it, which would lead me to falling down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos and internet blog posts until I felt so anxious and so unsure that I would be paralyzed. Yay, perfectionism, lol. I realized that I had to make things as simple as possible for myself and remove that pressure, or else I'd never be able to do anything. So I got a stationary bike and set a schedule for the days I wanted to ride it. And on those days, I just tell myself that it doesn't matter if I do 5 minutes or my goal time. I should just get on it and see how I feel. So far, I've always set my goal time because I always enjoy myself once I start up. But getting started was so hard. Thank you for the post. For me, I had to separate exercise from weight loss. I hate actively working out. I love hiking for fun. I hate walking for weight loss. I lose motivation to actively work out quickly. When I stopped working out, I wouldn't see the point in continuing my deficit diet. But once I separated exercising and dieting, and then just focused on dieting because I really don't mind that, I saw lasting results. I'm aware I hate working out, so I just stick to 1,200 calories per day. I lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. That's so awesome. I've experienced something similar. My goal this year is to do things badly, by which I mean be okay with doing 25% or 50% as opposed to sabotaging myself and refusing to do anything but 100% at all times. Old me would have just been like, oh, I don't have any time for a 90-minute workout, so I'll just keep watching TV. New me, that I try to be all the time, would say, okay, just do 20 minutes. That's fine, better than nothing. And I almost always end up doing more than 20 minutes. The same thing with the week. Well, I didn't work out yesterday or Monday, so the week is blown, and there's no point. Versus 1 workout a week is better than 0. Routines are crucial. I also changed what I could count as exercise. It doesn't have to be hardcore workout till you drop. A simple 30-minute walk while listening to a podcast is enough to boost me out of the sedentary classification. I discovered I like lifting weights too. Watching the numbers get bigger at the gym is as satisfying as watching the scale get smaller. And during the year I took off for body recomp, it was the only movement I saw since my weight was pretty stable. I used to be scared if a resistance exercise seemed too hard, or I didn't feel like it was doing anything if it felt too easy. I've learned to recognize the sweet spot and to keep pushing to almost failure when I found it. The result has been going from 10 pounds dumbbell RDLs to being able to deadlift nearly 100 pounds. And this is the way. Every day I tell myself all I have to do is make some coffee, and then you can go back to bed if you want. Then I say, okay, all you have to do is put on your workout clothes, and then you can go back to bed. And sometimes I even do lay around and sip coffee for an hour. Then, okay man, just walk around the block once while listening to your favorite news podcasts. Oh, well, that was fine. Now jog 1 block, now 2. This is the way. I agree. Start with a 5 to 10 minute home workout every day. 5 to 6 days a week is fine for the first 3 to 4 weeks, and then make it 5 minutes longer every 1 to 2 weeks afterwards. Once you are doing 30 minutes a day consistently, at least 5 to 6 days, then you can consider the gym. Until then, just try to build up to 30 minutes progressively. For calories, just start tracking your calories while being at maintenance for the first 2 to 4 weeks, and then cut down calories 10%. Stay there for at least another 3 to 4 weeks, and then you can keep cutting down calories by 5 to 10% every 2 to 4 weeks until you are losing the same amount of weight that you want to lose. Keep in mind, never go under your basal metabolic rate. That is poverty calories. Increase your level of activity, but never go below your BMR. Also, most people should never lose more than 1% of body weight per week. If you are very lean, go closer to 0.5. If you are pretty overweight, you can go up to 1.5% per week. And pro tip, do 1 to 2 days a week with maintenance, not a cheat day calories. This will help your mental health, help your metabolism, and you'll be able to socialize with friends and stuff once or twice a week. I do exactly the same thing. My number 1 rule is just go to the gym. That is the hardest part of working out. I also have a lifting program that my trainer sets. I really like the structure, and once I'm actually at the gym, being able to follow the program makes working out much more frictionless. It's the same way with doing yoga. I do it in my sleepwear or underwear first thing in the morning to make it easier to do. It's just a case of stumble out of bed and get the yoga mat out. Just get the yoga mat out, and then the practice follows naturally. I work in IT, so I know that the more frictionless an experience is, the more likely you are to engage in it. So you really can set yourself up for success by making it easy to do and focusing on just getting the first step and the process done. I do something like this when I track calories. I've never been able to track calories consistently before, so my New Year's resolution is to build that habit. In January, I tracked my calories only Monday to Thursday, and I didn't set a calorie limit, so I could still eat whatever I wanted as long as I tracked it. This month, I'm tracking calories every day, and I'm finally starting to stick to it. Still isn't 100% there, but much better than before. Next month, I'll actually impose a calorie limit, and so on. Baby steps help so much. It also helps when you give yourself a reward for completing your daily task, as opposed to a punishment for not completing it. For me, it's watching an episode of Friends. I used to punish myself by restricting my diet the next day, and that only made me want more food. So now, no punishments, just rewards. And didn't track today? Sorry, you can watch Friends tomorrow. But nothing else happens. It's really improved my mindset and keeps me working on my goals. This happened to me as well. When I started walking, I initially hated the idea of leaving so far away from my home and having to walk all the way back. It made me not want to walk long distances at all. So instead, I walk around the neighborhood block, which is close to my home. And this way, if I feel like stopping at any time, I can easily dip and walk home. I never did actually cut my walk short, but the psychological comfort of being able to go home whenever helped keep me motivated to walking for longer distance and time. I walk an hour nearly every day since the past 3 months. It amounts to roughly 3 miles. And this is so helpful and realistic. I think the biggest roadblock that stands between people actually taking the first step to healing their bodies and losing the extra weight is just how overwhelming it can all be. The vast majority of media out there pertaining to weight loss is so aggressive. Anyone who is even just curious about what they might be able to do is immediately thrown into eat only this, or you must work out 5 days a week, and 10K steps per day, no exceptions. And sure, those are great things to strive for, but it's so unrealistic to expect someone to change their life like that overnight. It is such a mental game, and I can only speak for myself, but if I'm given too much too fast, I'm going to go strong for a few weeks and then give up because I'm tired. And doing anything is better than doing nothing, and I think we all need to celebrate doing good enough for ourselves more often. And that brings us to the end narwhals. And please tap subscribe to join the original 200k narwhals. And lastly, here's our featured narwhal of the day. I just turned 30. I am 187.5 centimeters tall. I'm in the gym 4 days a week, and I've taken up actual athletic hobbies for the first time in my life. Went from a US size 24 to 26 to a current US size 10-12. Goal is an 8. Intermittent fasting and Seco. Literally not something I ever thought I'd achieve. Goal 73 kilos.